Thanks to F&F for sponsoring the show. Find your new favorite look online now. Danny Dyer.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
Are you ready for us to reveal the results of your glycan-age biological age test?
Yes.
You are 29. Your biological age is. Hello and welcome to What's My Age Again, the podcast where we take our guests' blood. And I've never said it so scary, but that's what we do. I don't know why you give it to us. Well, it's because we're going to reveal what's going on beneath their camera-ready complexions. Today, I'm joined by the undisputed queen of reality TV. All hail Dani Dyer. She won the nation's hearts on Love Island with her down-to-earth attitude and East End charm. She's since risen to stardom, making documentaries, podcasts, acting debuts, and she's had multiple children. I can relate to that. In 2021, she caught the eye of West Ham hunk Jared Bowen. Bowen. I don't watch football. Bowen. I've seen him on your Instagram. Officially tying the knot with him last year, making them top of the table in my favorite celebrity couples league. Dani's been open about the highs and lows of fame, anxiety, relationships, and motherhood, yet she manages to stay so humble, funny, and refreshingly honest through it all. But has her anxiety accelerated her aging? Is being a wag at the cost of her wellness? We will consult our resident scientist and longevity legend, Dr. Nicholls later to reveal if Dani's perfect skin, which we were just casually mentioning, means that she's also young on the inside. For now, please welcome to the What's My Age Again villa, Dani Dyer.
Hello, that was that was lovely.
Ups and downs.
That was perfect, thank you.
Do you know when someone can't pronounce a word, they say that you should be patient with them, and it's cute because it means they've only seen it written down.
Yeah.
And that's me with your husband.
Yeah, but he's, a lot of people call him like Jarrard as well. Jarrard.
Oh,
But it's Jared. Yeah.
Is Jared like an American-Canadian name?
I don't know. I've not really met many Jarrads, I'm not going to lie. I know, like when I met Jared, I was like, that's such an unusual name. I think there's someone called Jared on a CBBS show, actually. There's a kid called Jared.
Well, probably after him. How long has he been a famous footballer for?
I mean, he's been playing football since he was obviously young, but I'd say maybe more known at 17, I would say. Played for Hull.
Oh, well then kids on CBBS could be named after him. I don't know. It is an American name. It's certainly
it's random, isn't it?
But I don't know anything about sports, and I only knew some of the players because they had famous wives. I'd be like Cheryl, the guy who cheated on Cheryl Cole, and like, who else is...
Colleen Rooney?
Colleen Rooney's husband.
We love Colleen.
But I never knew who he was, and now Jared, for me, has to join that legacy of like, Dani Dyer's husband. He's a Nepo husband.
Oh my God, there we go.
I think you're more famous than he is.
Oh my God, I don't know.
Are you?
No, I don't really ever feel like famous. I know that sounds really silly, but I think because we just live very normal lives. Like we're just very, very normal. And fame, he doesn't like fame. I think if he could just play football and just walk down the street, he would prefer that, I'd say. He's very shy.
I know what you mean because you don't seem to be someone who's ever really courted fame. Even though you went on Love Island and you know what comes from that, but you do seem like you have a really solid family life, and then you're such a young mom of so many.
Yes.
That is super humbling. You never feel famous.
No, I just don't.
When you're a mom.
I have a different job. Yeah. That's how I look at it, you know? Like all my friends are just have normal jobs and I love all that, you know?
You can come home from the NTAs and be like wiping someone's bum. Yeah. Then you're like, not so famous, am I?
Yeah, I was literally doing that the other day, just before I went to the Sky Up Next, summer on potty training. And I mean, you are brilliant at the potty training. She had just shit. So I literally was just washing my hands in a little pretty dress just before I'd left. That was great, yeah.
Did you always want to be a young mum of many?
Do you know what? I didn't. I think looking back now, I was like 24, which I think's really young when I look back at it. Like I wish now maybe I would have started at 28.
Yeah?
Yeah, I do think now because like your early 20s are like your best years, I would say. So yeah, I did start young, but a lot of my best friends were having babies at that age. So I don't know if we just all thought, oh, sod it, didn't really, you know, do my research and got pregnant.
Do my
research of like anything.
Well, you're 29 now.
Yeah.
And I think that it is quite exciting to be a 24-year-old mom. I became a mom for the first time at the same age.
Yes.
And I'm from a small town in Canada, so a lot of my girlfriends were doing the same.
Yeah.
And you really could get wrapped up in the baby showers and all the fancy. I had the chavviest equipment for my first baby.
Yeah, me
like
too.
pink everything. And now I'm a mom again at 42, and it's not the same.
No,
It's not the same experience. It is cute to do it young.
Yeah, no, I am, because with all my friends, we've done it together, and our children are all now being brought up together, whereas I've got other friends that are just sort of starting now, and they're like 30. So, yeah, it's mad how you just all do it at your own time, really, ain't it? Yeah.
And what I love about it is if you draw a line under it, which I think a lot of people do after twins, but who knows if you'll have more, then you have this wonderful young romantic life to live with your husband when you have grown children.
Yeah.
And you can be here and there and you won't be tied down like I'm. Like when you're 42, I can't do the math. How old is Santi? 5?
Yeah.
And so when you're 42, that is 18. He'll be 18.
Yeah.
And you have that relationship with your dad.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like my mum and dad had me at like 19. Yeah. So that was young, you know, but they're like my real good friends now. And I know there's that difference. Some people think you shouldn't be too friendly with your parents. They're your mum and dad. But I have been brought up with my mum and dad as like real good friends.
Well, and you're an example of how that worked out well. And I'm sure there are lots of examples where it doesn't work out well.
Yeah.
But I remember, and I know you probably don't want to be defined by Love Island because you've done so much since, but when we first got to know you on a national scale, I remember there was worry and your dad communicated like, oh my gosh. And even I thought, oh, nobody really comes out of Love Island that well. But you were the first one to be completely neutral and wise and quelling fights and not shagging on camera. And you really represented yourself and your family so well on that show.
I know my mum was a bit more like, she hadn't watched it. So she was more like, go and have a great summer. You know what I mean? Whereas my dad was very like, absolutely, he just didn't speak to me until I went in there. They booked Florida. They weren't even there. When obviously you could have your family come in. Yeah. I had like my nan and granddad come in because they was like in Florida. It was so funny.
Your dad's like, I don't want to see girls shagging out in the open, so I'm going to go to Florida where that's...
I know.
That's all that happens.
I know. And every time you kiss, like the cameras would go, so you're like, yeah, definitely, no. No business happening in here.
What is it about your upbringing as a mom now that you think led to this relationship where you're friends with your parents, but you're also very respectful and well-rounded? Like, what did they do right?
Well, I think where my mum and dad were so young, they was figuring it out. And my dad is still like a child at heart now. You know, he's so impulsive, you know, but he's got such a lovely, genuine, kind heart. And I think I'm very similar to my dad in that sense. I'm very soft, I'm very emotional. My mum's a little bit more like tougher on the outside. But I don't know what built that. I think they always just wanted me to tell them absolutely everything. Sometimes I would, and then it would shoot me in the foot a little bit. But yeah, we had such an openness, you know, always wanting to make sure that we were sitting there around the dinner table together. I mean, my mum and dad were a little bit off and on as I was growing up in their relationship. I mean, they'd been together since they was 14, so it'd be as expected. But I don't know what made us like that. I don't know how we carved this relationship where we are just really friendly.
Do you remember how they used to punish you? Like, if you were naughty, what was the consequence?
They were so strict with me. I used to have to take my phone off me every night at 9 o'clock.
Till what age?
Oh my God, till I was like going into college.
Okay.
Yeah, they'd take my phone off, and then I used to try and sneak my SIM out of the phone and put it in like an old phone, and they'd still catch me. Like they'd be really strict with me on like revising because I was terrible at maths. It just used to go in one ear out of the other, and I still failed. So they was I had to be first home all the time. I used to have to ring up my friends and say to them, can I stay at your house tonight? And then I never was allowed to stay out. They was really strict, that's the thing. Whereas my sister now, there was so much, they're like, well, you learn from your first.
But also you're old. Like, they're old now. Like, this is what I'm talking about.
Like, I was wanted to just drink over the fields with my friends at 15. I'm like, goodness gracious. But that's all I wanted to do.
Do you think you became conscientious then just because of an innate personality that you have?
Maybe. I just think...
Because some kids rebel against strict parents.
Yeah, I did a little, don't get me wrong, I did sometimes lie to them quite a lot. Okay. But I'd always get caught out. Do you know what I mean? I was always caught out, and then I was grounded for weeks on end. So I think it was just I'd choose it wisely. I would sometimes want to throw a house party. And I remember there was CCTV outside of our door. And I said to my friend, right, what we're gonna do is it's gonna go from CCTV, and then we're gonna completely black out the CCTV. So I want you to put your blazer over it. my brain didn't think. Obviously, you could just see my friend putting the blazer over the CCTV, like, not that it's going to go from 1 to blackout. So, yeah, I would just get in trouble. So I would just choose it wisely on when I was going to play up a little bit.
Oh, my gosh.
I weren't doing any harm. I just wanted to have my friends round.
Yeah.
We was all in safe places. You know, I would never, you know, not answer my phone, or they never knew where I was. Mm-hmm. But I just wanted to, you know, drink Glens and have a bit of fun. I'm glad I wanted to do that.
That's what we all wanted to do. And I feel sorry for your generation, because just that bit older, we could do whatever. Our phones did not. We didn't have phones.
Love that.
And then, so no one knew our location.
Yeah.
And when we did, I didn't have a phone. When my daughter was born, I didn't have a phone.
Yeah.
People did. I was especially poor, but I didn't have a phone. You couldn't check up on us. And now, especially with a famous dad.
Yeah, I think now it's harder, isn't it? Because people, it's the phones, it's the videoing, it's the pictures. We just had a great night. And I was saying to my friends the other day, we'd take pictures and just upload the whole album on Facebook. Yeah. There was no filter, was there? And I think now it's very, very filtered. Like, my sister's 19 and they've not been able to do half the stuff I've done just because they're so scared all the time. People are always wanting to, like, cancel you in a sense, aren't they?
So does that make you feel old, having really young siblings and being from a different time, really?
Yeah, because my brother's 11.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, there is such a massive age gap. And I look at my sister now and I'm like, oh, my God, you've got, like, your best years ahead of you. But, yeah, when I look at my brother, I'm 9, he's going to be 13 this year. I've completely got his age wrong. Yeah, he's going to be 13. He's like, I can't believe you're my sister. Like, he can't get his head round that I'm so much older than him. But no, it is the best having, like, younger siblings.
So you're 29, you've got 3 small kids.
Yeah.
You have 2 little siblings.
Yes.
How old do you feel?
It's really hard for me to say what age I feel, right? Because, say, I have, like, loads of 50-year-old women around me. So, like, my nan is, like, 70-odd. And, you know, I can go on hour walks with my nan.
Yeah.
So I just think it depends on the person. For me, I don't know how old. I definitely feel my age, but then it frightens me that I could be older, you know? Mentally, I'm still about 18.
Yeah.
Because when I'm, like, doing the school runs, I'm so petrified of upsetting the teacher, or you can't have a late mark, and I just get so scared. If we've got parents' evening, I'm ringing up my mum. So, like, mentally, I'm still not 29, I don't feel, but I don't know how I am everywhere else.
I'd say probably all the women in your family are probably similar to you. You guys are close. You have a lot of youthful energy.
Yeah.
Your nan would probably say she feels 18 many days.
Yeah, well, she's like 73. She loves a Bacardi, you know. You can't get my nan home. If you're at a party, you're like, come on, Carol, we got to get home now. Like, she's like staying out 2, 3 in the morning, like, loves it.
I love that. I do think I'm robbing my kids of that nice, close-knit community. Because where do you all live? You live in East London or Essex?
So we live in Essex.
Yeah.
We don't have Jared's family because they live, like, it's a place called Lempster. An hour from Wales. That's what I tell everyone, because no one knows where it is. So I have my family, like my mum and my dad, and they're like 7 minutes from my house.
That is so
and I
cute.
love that. It was once 25 minutes and it felt too long.
And families don't do that anymore. And regardless of how your biological age comes back, I'm sure just having you near and the kids near is keeping your Nana young and is keeping everyone in this lovely bubble.
Yeah.
Were you with her a lot when you were young?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because my mum was working, so my nan would pick me up from school, and she used to have her next door neighbour, Sue, who is like my nan to me as well. So she'd look after me when I was really little, because I didn't want to go to nursery, so she'd have me, and then my nan would rotate, because my nan was a school dinner lady. So yeah, my nan would pick me up every day, and we'd either get a hot dog or she'd pick me up with a dairy milk caramel. I always remember that certain chocolate. And then I'd sit with her, watch Deal or No Deal, have dinner until my mum was back from work. So yeah, my nanny's like a mother to me in a sense.
That is so much better than nursery. I know you have to send your kids to nursery sometimes, but if you have that village.
I just didn't like it. I used to cry, and Sue used to ring up my mum and go, she really don't want to go nursery. I used to want to be with Sue, and Sue loved Gareth Gates. Yeah. So I used to sing, like, I don't know the songs he sings now, but I used to just sing and dance with Sue. I loved being with her. It's so random, isn't it? Gareth Gates.
No, it's not random at all.
She loves him now. She, like, adores him.
I think she could get him now. I used to fancy, famous boy band people. You won't remember New Kids on the Block, but that was like our take that. And I would strategically fancy the one I thought had the best chance of getting. I wouldn't fancy the hottest one. I'd be like, I think I could pick him off. I was like a lion with like an injured zebra. And he was called Joey McIntyre. And I genuinely believe I could get him now.
Do you reckon? Yeah, because that's even like One Direction.
Yeah.
Like I used to be like obsessed with them, and now it feels weird to say like who the ones I used to. Like, I used to fancy. I would be like Zayn Malik. Like I used to listen, and then I'm like, oh, that's really weird. I don't feel like I could say that now. Do you know?
Could get him. You got Jared.
We got Jared. There we go. But I loved a boy band when I was younger.
I know, and I believe in Sue getting with Gareth Gates.
We should get a little date with Sue. Yeah, she was great.
Do you have memories of your parents being together and not together and together and not together?
A little bit. I remember they was always very rocky, but then my dad was always round on the weekend. Yeah. So now I know what they were up to. But I knew that they loved each other, you know, and my dad used to pick me up in like, used to have them big cars with like the sliding doors, and then like, he was so good. Considering they weren't together, he was so present, you know, always seeing me, always buying me the biggest, fanciest dressing up boxes or anything that I wanted. But yeah, I feel like it was always a blur because they wasn't together, but they kind of was.
Yeah.
You know, like they was always doing it behind like my nan's back, because my nan absolutely despised him at the time, obviously, because they was very up and down. And then eventually, because we used to go to my nan's every Sunday for like a roast dinner. And then eventually she'd like plate him up a roast dinner because she knew that. But to take away, she didn't want to see him, but my mum would take it away.
He's too charming. You have to give Danny Dyer Sr. a roast dinner.
She does a good roast.
And then what age were you when they were properly back together?
So I can't remember the ages roughly, because again, it was so off and on. But I would say probably by the time I was like 6.
See, they might as well have just been together the whole time, because I think a lot of people grow up in families where the dad is away on business a lot or he's working. Yes. And it sounds like you never stopped seeing your dad.
Never.
He was always around,
you know, like they wasn't together, but they was always basically. My mum was like, no, I wasn't. I'm like, I know you was, Mum. He was staying over on a Friday night. Like, I know it. But he always read me a good bedtime story, so that was fine.
That's so sweet. And he wasn't happy with you going on Love Island.
No.
But you went and proved everyone wrong. And I loved it when you're like, I don't look like them other girls. But you do look, I remember watching that and thinking, but you do look like them other girls. Like you were hot on the show.
You know what, looking back now, I was like, my body was probably the best it's ever been. I was like 21, you know.
But that's when you don't appreciate it. All of us when we're 21, we're like...
You want to shake yourself back then, don't you? Yeah, I don't know what I ever meant by that. Because I think you're looking at other girls constantly, aren't you? And like what they're wearing, and they've got like the sexy thong bikinis on. Yeah. And for me, I just couldn't upkeep the hair and makeup. It used to bore me to tears.
Oh, but also in the sun.
But like they do it now.
They'll do a full face.
Yeah.
And take all those fillers into the sun. And I always think it's a biohazard. I watch the going...
It's just for like your skin, and like in the morning, I just could not be bothered to sit there and do like a full face of glam. It just wasn't for me at all. I think we just kind of forgot, oh God, we are being filmed 24/7. Like I think if I went in there now, I probably would be a bit more like, oh, I need to make sure I've got concealer on. And whereas 21, I know Love Island was a thing. Obviously the series before of like Olivia Attwood and Amber, and you know that was a great series. But I feel like they wasn't as glam as it is now.
You're right.
You know.
Well, reality TV will never be what it used to be because it's all too knowing now. There's an expectation. And we had it back when it was fresh. And you were very fresh. As much as you were beautiful, if not more beautiful than the other girls, you did come across, you had an innocence to you, like this girl next door, this wisdom that they didn't have. So I suppose you broke the mold in that way.
Thank you.
And I've heard you talk about negative comments and anxiety and stuff.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that coming out of that series you had any negativity whatsoever. I never saw it.
It wasn't so much because then I think it was like, I've always had it for like, say, my voice. Like people like comment on like common and voice, and I might not pronounce my words properly. But I've got better with my T's. I do say water now. That's only because my little boy tells me off.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he goes, Mummy, it's water.
So you used to say water.
Water. Or like butter. So now I say butter. And Jared is more, I mean, he's really pronounces all of his words. He's more like he says when I say things, I'm very like expressional when I say it. Like I'm like, have some mayo in there. He's like, Danny, why don't you just say have some mayo? I'm like, oh yeah, I am a bit expressional, ain't I?
Because you grew up with Sue and your
Sue,
nan
Gareth Gates
watching Deal or No Deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I forgot what the question was. What was the question again?
I think negative comments.
Negative comments,
People
yes.
criticized your accent, which again, if I can say as an aside, and this is about you, not about me, but can I say as an outsider, we all sound the same in Canada and we don't have class structure in Canada.
Yes.
So this country seems to be very preoccupied with like, well, you come from this neighborhood and you talk like that and that's how we differentiate ourselves from you. And to hear it, it sounds so stupid to me. It's not even a consideration.
I know.
And I don't think you mispronounce your words. You pronounce your words like because of the culture that you grew up in, that is the accent that you guys have.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is because it's that mixture of, so I was in East London till I was about 12.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Essex. Yeah. So it's all a little variety of mixture of both, really.
Can you imagine saying to a Chinese person, like, you sound too Chinese?
Oh,
I live in China. I speak Chinese.
I know, it is crazy when people judge the voice. And I get a lot of the... I go through phases. I think it's how I feel myself. But, you know, like you'll get the Nepo baby stuff. I'll get a lot of that quite a lot of the time.
How do you feel about that?
I don't really mind it. I think it's like, I don't really still kind of get it. You know, it's like, oh, yeah, you know, you're only famous because of your dad and all that stuff. But I think I would have wanted to have done Love Island regardless. So I think it's just more of like a throwaway comment.
Do you think you would have been chosen if it weren't for your dad?
I don't know, because obviously going back now, I realise that yearly they like to have someone, you know, they had Tommy Fury, didn't they?
They did.
And they had Marcel, I can't remember what his parents done. So they did, and they also had Bel Hassan, her father is Tamar. So I do kind of get that they like to have that, but I don't know if I'd have been chosen or not. That's
what
a
good
missed
opportunity
it'd be
if they
good
didn't.
to like have a see if we could reverse time. And I'd like to have a new dad, and it would take too long to do all that, wouldn't it?
Well, I think Nepo baby wasn't even a turn of phrase until really recently.
Yeah.
And people are fascinated with the next generation, you know, the offspring of people they grew up watching.
Yeah.
But it's a way, I think, of, you know, taking agency away from you and negating all the wonderful things that you've achieved on your own and your personality and all your skills. Like being a Nepo baby, whatever that is, will only take you so far. It might get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
But you ascended on Love Island and all your subsequent projects, not because of who your dad is at all.
I think it's just like not reading things, ain't it? Like not trying to, like Twitter and stuff. I remember completely deleting Twitter and Facebook, because Facebook, they're mean on Facebook, aren't they? It's always that, well, you know, when people are like, who's that? Who cares? And, you know, them stupid, like, little comments. Whereas my dad at the minute is really obsessed with looking at Facebook comments.
Is he?
I'm like, stop it. Like, he'll ring me up and he's like, oh, this one's that. I'm like, well, I don't know why you haven't even got Facebook. How are you getting these links?
You actually, he's got like a fake profile.
A fake profile. He's like, no, I'm not looking at it anymore.
Your dad's Linda from Leeds on Facebook, just making complaints. He's like, I really like that, Danny Dyer.
I think now I'm quite good now at actually not choosing to search. You know, like, you know, you're typing your name on the Daily Mail or something and then you'd see all that. Like, that's just, you just know you're going to get complete and utter pain from seeing that. So I've got better at trying to avoid it, you know?
Yeah. Was there negativity about your dad when you were growing up? Because I know even his career ebbed and flowed a lot, and he's been really open about some of his challenges.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Like at school, would they talk about who your dad was?
A lot of the girls just fancied my dad.
Yeah, see, that's the thing with your dad.
Yeah, they really fancied him, and I'd like, oh, your dad's so fit, and I'd just be like, oh, thank you. I didn't really know how to respond to that. Like, yeah, well, is he? So I used to get that quite a lot, and the boys, it was really weird because when I went to a school called Cumberland until I moved in year 8, which is like the worst year to move, I think, because you've got your friends. None of them give a shit really, like who my mum and dad, like my dad was. No one cared. But then when I got to Essex, it was a little bit more like, oh, who her dad is and stuff. But yeah, Essex is a massive jump. Like going from like an East London school to Essex was a bit of a jump for me.
Has your dad ever confronted any of your bullies or trolls?
Yeah, he says more. He bites back more to them than like himself.
Yeah.
He says he just can't bear it. But I would be the same. I'm having children now. If someone said anything about my child, you know, I remember once I was bullied and my mum, like the school weren't doing anything. So my mum went round the mum's house herself. And I was like, right, mum, I don't want you to get arrested over this shit.
I think I'd be scared of your mum.
You know, the dog, get out. I was like, I don't think we need to calm the confrontation, mother. So yeah, she just will not have it.
Do you think you have a bit of William the Conqueror in you? Could you, in your little vest, turn up and be like, boom, what'd you say about Santi?
Yeah, I think you become so defensive over your children, don't they? Like they're your world. So if they come home crying, I wouldn't be able to bear that, I think. It's in me.
I know. I was pretty bad with my first daughter. I was like a mama bear. But now I think if you bullied the little ones, I'd assume they deserved it because they're awful. I got my own ecosystem of kids now because they love each other. I'm sure yours are the same. They love each other and they fight and they love each other and they fight.
That's mine.
I'm a bad #boy mom.
What ages have you got?
He's the problem. Violet's 16 now.
Violet's 16,
She absolutely loves you. Of course she does. Fred is 4. And then we have Fenna, which is an out-the-box name. She's 3. And the baby Holland is 5 months.
Oh, you're amazing.
No, I'm really
well done.
mentally not all there. I don't know what I was doing. I was so good with one. And now I just have to work for the rest of my life.
Are you done now?
Yeah. Do you think that because you're so young, you might do what your parents have done and take a decade off and then start the engine again and have more kids like I've done?
I feel like you can never say never because Jared would be like, yeah, have another one. But it's like 2 years, babe, again out of my life. You know what I mean? That like whole 9 months of being pregnant and then another year of like a bit like, you feel a bit slothy, don't you? So it's a lot to do.
My advice would be don't. I hate to say that. The children do not listen to podcasts yet, so don't do it. Enjoy your life. Get out while you can.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking because like they sort of grow up then, don't they? And it becomes a little bit easier. And like I love a newborn. You put me I would love to just look after newborns. They're just the smell of them. They're just perfect. They're just perfect. The innocence of them, you know, putting their little baby clothes. I love all of that.
I do too.
But it's just then they get to like 8, 9 months and they're dribbling, and it's also the sleepless nights and there's a lot of shit that comes with it. Do you know what I mean?
And it's hard on a relationship.
Absolutely, yeah.
This episode of What's My Age Again is sponsored by F&F. F&F gives you the composure to style it out, which we all do need sometimes. On the show, we talk a lot about aging. That shouldn't be a surprise. The clue is kind of in the name. One thing that fascinates me is how what we wear impacts how we and others perceive our age. It's particularly pertinent to me right now because, as you know, I am in the midst of my hottest year ever, and I would like to keep that going, so I've had to recruit some help. I'm joined by actual fashion expert Rebecca Lothorpe from Grazia, who's going to share her tips on how I can keep looking and feeling great. Rebecca, I have gone on record as a warning to my enemies to say that this is going to be my hottest year ever. But I've been a bit busy and I don't know if I'm going to make the deadline.
Okay.
So what would you say that you could give me in terms of tips about looking great, feeling great, achieving that very realistic goal I've set for myself, age 43?
Wow. What's your deadline?
Just New Year's Eve, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I think you look great anyway.
Thanks.
I think, like for anyone, finding their true self in style, I think, you know, that's the key, isn't it? So you feel completely you in your clothes, but also turned up, switched up a notch.
Yeah.
And I guess you want to dial really high up if you're going for your big glow up. Yeah.
Yes.
Like we said before, I think it's about finding your innate style outside of being on camera. And because you do on camera so well, that's probably second nature to you. You probably don't even realize how well you do it because it's just easy and it's what you do. But I guess it's that, like you were saying before, about finding yourself outside of those moments and how on earth do you use fashion for that? And I think we spoke about having a good re-look at your closet and having a good look at new things to say within that. Like, what are the new neutrals, the khaki, the chocolate, the caramel colours that will work with your skin tone, that kind of thing.
I love the idea of something new to say within some of what's already in my wardrobe and then get some new neutral basic pieces, add it to that. I just want my husband to come down the stairs in the morning and not find a woman who looks on the edge of a mental breakdown. Like, I would love to look a little bit intentional, polished. Those are words I'm going for. Yeah. And I can achieve that with new neutrals.
I think so.
Thank you.
For sure.
Now, armed with knowledge, it's time to get to F&F in-store or online to get the looks that are going to make this your hottest year ever as well. Now, back to the show. How did you find out you're having twins?
When I got pregnant with the twins, I remember I didn't know they were twins, but I remember I was like very early pregnant and I was in so much pain. And I remember thinking, oh God, is this like an ectopic pregnancy? Or, I was a bit of a anxiety Annie anyway. So I went to the doctors and she quickly scanned me and she was like, no, it's all in the correct place. Like, you're absolutely fine. It was like a very in and out appointment. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. And then went back at like 11 weeks and it was twins. But I was with Jared at this point.
Okay, we should go back to the beginning of your pregnancy journey because I know you've spoken about it before, that before your first son, you had a loss.
Yes.
And you would have been really young for a miscarriage.
Well, it was literally, so Santi was like a rainbow baby. Like I got pregnant I sort of had the miscarriage and then kind of got pregnant straight away. Mm-hmm. So there was no in-between period.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think when, obviously, you're young, you're not on contraception, you know what you're doing, you know what I'm saying. But I wasn't on contraception for a very long time. And then I kind of got pregnant and that was like, oh my God, I'm pregnant, what am I going to do? But then it was sort of, the loss happened so quickly. Okay. But then all of a sudden I wanted to be pregnant. I was like, well, I'm going to be pregnant now, Yeah. Like I didn't have a breather. I was like, I'm having this baby. Yeah. And then, had Santi.
You never want to be pregnant more than when you're having miscarriage.
Yeah.
Especially if you have that type of personality and you work for what you want and, you can just decide. And when you're 23, you get pregnant just by looking at your boyfriend. So then you had Santi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then did you feel what they call scanxiety with him? Did your anxiety heighten in that pregnancy?
Yeah. And I was just so scared all the time that something was going to go wrong. Like, but then I become like addicted to it. So like I was having like scans once a month because I think on the NHS you get like 3 scans, don't you? And I was like, that's not going to fulfill my needs. Yeah. I need to have scans constantly. I think I have a portfolio at home of just scanned photos of Santi because I was so obsessed with checking that he was okay. It just become a little bit of like as soon as I'd have the scan, I'd feel fine. And then it'd get to 3 weeks and I'd go, I need another one. I need another one. Like I become obsessed with it.
It's awful in a way once you've had a loss because no number of scans, it ruins the experience a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
But then also you can lose them in the parking lot on your way out of the scan. So what's the point? But you just keep going back to check and check and check.
The thing is, what was still confused, I'm not a health anxiety. I don't have anxiety around health really. If I've got a cold, I'll be fine. I very rarely go to the doctors about myself. But with my children, I am more, so I don't know, as soon as I got pregnant, I just developed this anxiety with, oh my God, I want to make sure my child's okay. Yeah. So I think I developed, because even now, I'm at the doctors all the time. I'm that person because if they've had like the shits more than a week, I'm like, something's wrong and it's just viral.
Well, yours are probably sick all the time because you've got 3 so young.
Yeah.
And they overlap fevers and colds and you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then how were you with anxiety when he was born?
But you know what? I think it was that first time mum thing. And I think for me, I didn't want a C-section. Did not want a C-section. I wanted like a beautiful labour with Ariana Grande on in the background. I wanted it to be perfect. And then it wasn't that. So I think I was so annoyed that it wasn't that. So then I was sort of struggling because I'd never got my head around having a C-section. I didn't really do research of a C-section recovery or, it's really difficult. Have you had a C-section before?
No,
yeah, so it's so painful afterwards. I'm very mobile and then you're sort of restricted to doing anything. But my mum was amazing. Like she basically moved in with me. But yeah, that first time mum thing was, am I doing the right thing with like breastfeeding? And it was sort of, we was in and out of COVID as well. So it was a little bit of a lonely place. And I was just constantly on Google. Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And everyone's got different stories or everyone's doing their own things. So I was constantly trying something. No, but he's not sleeping. He's not fit. Oh my God, I was a nightmare. Yeah. I wish I could have Santi now.
Yeah.
Birth him now because I'd be a lot more chill, I'd say.
Do you think you missed out on some of that honeymoon phase with your new baby because you're anxious.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, because I was constantly comparing and constantly worrying. I'm such a worrier.
Are you?
Yeah, I worry. If something like really good's happening, I'm like, well, something bad's going to happen now. I'm like the worst person, and I would love to change that. But I just think it's you, innit? You are what you are at the end of the day. So, yeah, I would say now, like, at 24, having him, new fears, new worries, new anxieties. And I remember, like, getting him them, like, the pad to sleep on, you know, like, to make sure, like, it would make noises with the breathing. And, yeah, it does get a little bit on top. But my mum was brilliant because she's the most chilled mother ever. Like, if I'm, like, at home making, like, a fish cake from scratch, she's like, why would you do that? Just buy one from Tesco and put it in the air fryer. Like, why? Do you know, she's so chilled. So it's nice to have my mum to just, like, mellow me out a little bit when I'm getting a bit, like, in my head.
I'm sorry that happened to you with your birth. And have you ever had therapy to talk about that specific birth trauma?
No.
You know, they recommend that now. I know you're all over it, and you've done a wonderful documentary about motherhood.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of women have this experience of imagining that something so important, such a milestone like the birth of their first child is going to go one way. And then terrible things happen where you almost lose your life, where there's an emergency, or it ends in a different way than you thought, especially if women are explained C-sections in such a way that glosses over the very serious surgery that it is and recovery. They're encouraging more women to talk about the post-traumatic stress of that, actually.
Yeah, because you just punish yourself, I think, because I just did. And I remember, because when obviously you have the baby, like, through the vagina, obviously, you know, it brings up all the... Is it mucus? I don't know what they
mucus,
have. Mucus, but obviously when you have a C-section, they can't really bring it up. So I remember crying, going, he can't bring his mucus up because of me. Like, I was such a nightmare and just, punished myself. And that's why I think when I got pregnant with the twins, when I initially got pregnant, I was like, yes, I'm going to have the birth that I want. And then I got to the doctors and the hospital appointments, and I was like, because your first was on like an emergency C-section, we're like, we just cannot recommend to, you know, do it vaginally. And I was like, oh God, okay, that's annoying. Well, there is still a part of me that wants to have like a natural, you know, just have that experience of like no gas and air and no epidural. I don't know why. I'm nuts for even thinking that because I've had it all.
Yeah.
I remember going in there and he was like, you know, when they do the epidural, and he was like, this is going to feel like a really good gin and tonic. And I was like, this is the best gin and tonic I've ever had.
Oh my gosh.
The best.
I've never had an epidural, but I love hospital drugs so much. Like anytime I've had a surgery, I'm like, give it to me slow. I love it.
Oh, the morphine and stuff. Oh my God, I just chat and chat and chat. They must think I've told them stories from when I was about eight years old. They're like, God.
I understand the perspective of a junkie in the park. Because you're like, how can he live like that? And you're like, no, he's having a great life. He has heroin.
It's like the best, isn't it? The hospital drugs. Yeah, they can tell they definitely lock them up.
So you went for a scan early in your pregnancy with the twins. I cannot believe you did that alone. It's really brave, actually, considering you'd had a loss in the past. But thankfully it went okay. Yeah. And then you brought Jared to the 11-week scan and you found out it was twins.
Yeah.
Were you happy about that?
I think I was just more shocked.
Yeah.
Like, we laughed all day. We really, really giggled. Because my best friend also was pregnant with twins at the same time. So she told me, like, a week before that she was having twins, and I remember she was like, I don't know what to do, it's twins. I was like, listen, we're going to get through this, like, I'll support you. And I remember getting off the phone going, God, that glad that ain't me. And then I rang her like, it's twins game, we've got to do it together. So yeah, it was the most shocking experience. You just do not prepare for ever being pregnant with twins.
I don't know how you do it. I have a lot of kids, but not at the same time. Multiples, I mean, it must be the most stressful thing in the world.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. They are so rewarding. And when they're like being lovely, and like the other day they were just sitting there eating their little sausage rolls, I look at them like, oh, you girls, you're so worth it. But then other days I think, oh no, this is brutal. How can it be this hard?
And especially because you are working so much. You've got all these projects on the go. How do you balance like filming and Jared playing and traveling and being a mom?
I think I'm very good with my calendar. And obviously I have some weeks, like some days where I can just be at home and just be present, and I love that. Like my little boy gets annoyed when I'm not picking him up from school. But I think now the girls are at nursery, Sandy's at school, which is great. His school's lovely. They have like breakfast clubs and tea time clubs, goes karate. And I'll get to that thing with the girls when they start school. I'll have more of the options to do that. My mum is amazing. Like, so I am really lucky to, like, you know, Jared's family, they'll come down when they can to obviously help. And it is a juggle, I'm not going to lie. There are some days where I'm like worn thin.
And does it get to you and that worrying part of you and the anxiety? Do you have what they call mum guilt?
Oh, God,
whatever that means.
Yeah. Do you get mum guilt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think I'm a lot more traditional than people imagine because I'm a feminist and I'm really progressive. But then you have that newborn and you're like, I shouldn't leave her with her dad. I can't leave her with that man over there. She doesn't know him. Her dad.
Yeah.
I do think it should be me.
Yeah, but because I do think there is still that stigma though, isn't there? Like, who's looking after your baby? Or like, it's so, and if that with the dad, oh, what a good dad. You still have all of that. Like, I don't feel like that will ever really change.
No.
So yeah, I'm lucky to be fair because Jared, some days he'll be home by like 2 o'clock. So I'm like, this is amazing. Do you know what I mean? This works. But when he does work away, then it's a little bit like, it gets a little bit on top sometimes. You know, like that bath bedtime routine. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, the mum guilt to stem, I think when I've had a few days away from them or they cry when you leave them. You know what I mean? Like when you go out the door and they have like a little bit of a cry or, you know, like some days when you've just, I've said it before, them like days where you're just a bit overstimulated and you're just like being go, go, go. And then the little thing annoys you and then they go to bed and you're like, oh God, I really should have been a bit kinder. You know, like that sort of thing.
But do they like the money? They like the money. Are you enjoying school, kids?
Yeah.
You like those trainers?
Yes. That's what I mean. It's like there's so much stuff that you have to buy a child. It's actually insane.
Where did you meet Jared?
He was my next door neighbour.
What? Oh, I did know this.
Yeah.
I forget that I know all about your life
so
in a parasocial way.
I love that. I moved next door to him and his best friend lived there. And then I didn't think nothing of it. And he was very quiet. Like I remember his friend, Lou, he's lovely. He's such a good friend of mine now.
But second choice, not hot.
No,
you didn't fancy him.
He used to knock on the door. He used to knock on my door and he'd be like, how are you? It's me and Jared, blah, blah. I was like, oh, that's really sweet. And then Jared had a couple of my parcels and he'd like knock on my door and like give me a parcel. And I remember the first time I see him, I was like, oh my God, you are so fit. Because he has the like nicest blue eyes. Yeah. Like I'm a sucker for a blue eye. And I remember just staring at him for ages. I was like, oh my God, I'm 4 months postpartum. I cannot.
You moved next door to him when you just had your
Santi,
son.
Yeah. And I was still like obviously with the father. So I was a bit like, behave yourself, Danny.
Laxatives.
Yeah. Tits were leaking, like the hair was on top of my head, like I was not, at my best. And there was this one time I remember I had a photo shoot and he'd see me and I walked back and I thought, this is what I can be sometimes, And I put the key in the door, he put the key in the door. It was like a movie moment. And we had a little smile, but literally nothing. And then he moved. Oh. He bought a house and moved and he was like, see you later. And I was like, bye. Didn't think nothing of it. And then on my birthday, he like slipped in the DMs and said, happy birthday. And I was like, are you flirting with me a little bit? I was like, oh, thank you very much. And at this point, I knew nothing about football. Yeah. But I was like, oh, well done on your game on the weekend. And bearing in mind, I didn't watch it. And then we just spoke every single day. It was the most easiest relationship I've ever had in my entire life, which was so nice because usually they would bore me. Yeah. They'd bore me to tears. Like if someone was really nice to me and rung me and didn't blank my calls, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so bored of you. Yeah. And I remember I used to have like therapy about that because I could not understand why I was like it. Like if someone didn't give me that fire in my belly, I would just switch off. And then he would kind of get me through it, Chris, the therapist, and be like, these are your signs and, understanding why I felt that way. And then in the end, I was just like, let's just put the fire down and have something a little bit more nicer,
So Chris would keep you in these relationships?
Yeah, so Chris kept...
The bad relationships?
No, he got me into like a good relationship.
Oh, fine.
Because not the bad ones.
Chris kept me invested in these guys.
Chris kept me in a sense with Jared, I would say, because like when I'd first met Jared, I was still going through like therapy with Chris. And then obviously I was like, oh, I'm speaking to someone new and all that kind of stuff and explained it to him. And he was like, this will be like really good for you. Like, and they just put things into a different perspective, don't they?
Yes, therapy is really important. I think also it's about the place you are in your life, and the universe will send you lessons for a reason. And it sounds like you met him when you were ready to be with someone.
Yeah.
What neighborhood is this? It's like the real Love Island, I feel. Nobody has this story of like, well, randomly moved next to a footballer.
It was so random. It was in Essex, it was called Stapleford Abbots.
Got it.
So maybe people should move there if they're looking for love.
Too late for me to meet a footballer. Do you worry sometimes about being a wag? Do you have to be friends with all the other wags and participate in like wag culture?
I do not. I don't do anything waggy.
No.
At all.
No.
Like, I remember like one of my friends was speaking to a footballer once. I was like, oh my God, don't speak to a footballer. Like, you know, they have such a bad rep, don't they? And then I ended up getting with one, which is, but I don't feel like I do anything waggy at all.
No.
And I feel like it's what it used to be back in the day, you know, like when there was like Victoria Beckham and Colleen Rooney, and
you could make it that again.
They were so sexy and standing there in their like little vests, and what are they wearing? And it's not like that now, I don't think.
No, we've moved on from the naughties, thankfully.
Yeah, it's like that was followed everywhere.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want that.
You don't feel that you're hounded at all by the media or paparazzi?
It depends like what's going on, really. When I first come off Love Island, that was intense. I do sometimes have someone like waiting outside my gates. Like he'll just sit there sometimes, and I'm like, but then I'm pretty boring. Like he'll follow me to the school rounds and M&S, and I'm back again. So I think sometimes he's a bit like, oh, I'll leave her to it.
That's it. What's the article?
What is it?
Danny takes out the bins again.
They always get me in Morrison's, though. He always gets me there. But then, you know, like some days you look okay, and then you're like, I don't mind it today. And then other days when you're like wearing your oversized stuff and like your hair's not been washed for days, and they just get you, don't they?
Can we talk about body image?
Yes.
Because I think the age that you were on Love Island and the type of show that was, I know there's a lot of pressure to look good on that show in a bikini.
Yeah.
How do you feel about all of that now? As a mom, you've had 2 C-sections. You look great to me, but it's about how you feel on the inside about yourself.
Yeah, I think when you have a C-section, you get like a C-section pouch. So it's like a lot of like my tight little leggings that I had, you'll put it on and it like overhangs. But I have great knickers that I buy.
Yeah.
Like really good suck me in knickers. That I just love them. Like little Amazon cheapy ones as well. That like I always tell my little girls, like it makes me sad because I know one day they're going to be like, Mummy, I'm not pretty, or you know, I feel so every morning I tell them how beautiful they are because I just want them to know that they're so beautiful, and they'll put a little fancy dress on, they go, Mummy, I'm just so beautiful. And I don't want them to grow up and say to me one day like, Mummy, I'm ugly, or Mummy, I'm fat, or you know.
I know.
It's so hard, I think, as well, because it's so easy to compare to. But I feel like for me, when I was on Love Island, like, don't get me wrong, I think majority of people, before you go on that show, you're like, oh my God, like, you know, when you feel like you can't eat a thing, there is so much pressure because it's not so much like women being all different shapes and sizes, it's people still not dealing with that very well, and people just commenting such hatred. You know, if someone's too skinny, oh my God, she's so skinny. Or say if you've had a curry and you got a bloke the next day, oh my God, are you pregnant? So I think if people stopped commenting and people stopped judging, then people would be more happy in their bodies.
I hope that you and I are raising our children in a generation that has fixed that a bit. I think it was at its most toxic for a while. Although now...
I don't think so, because I think everyone, you know, is on like the Monjaro. But I know people that have taken that and they was, you know, overweight, and it's completely transformed them lives. But it's when people don't need it and they're taking it and then they look very poorly. Yeah. So I don't know if it is changing that much. I don't know. Some days I think it is, and I see things and I'm like, this is really great. But then other times I'm like, oh, it depends what side of TikTok you go on.
Yeah, you're right.
You know?
Now they're just using like pharmaceutical assistants to like fuel their eating disorder.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay. What do you do to stay healthy then? Because day to day, you've got all these projects. Yeah. You're famous. Your dad's famous. Your husband's famous. And are you eating well? Are you resting? Are you doing stuff like that?
I don't know about the resting. I love the gym.
Great.
I love the gym. So I'd like to go like 4 times a week. And Pilates, I love reformer Pilates. So the fitness side of things I've always loved. Because I remember when I was like 12, 13, I used to get home from school and I'd want to do, you know them like workout DVDs?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I loved it. And I've done like half marathons with my uncle. I feel like for me, if I didn't have children, I would do so much more on the fitness side of things. But it's the training for them, which is quite long.
Yeah.
You know, like training for marathons and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of time.
You can't do that if you're their mom.
Yeah.
Only if you're their dad. You see dads all the time going to Egypt to run another triathlon. It's like, didn't your wife just have a baby yesterday?
Yeah.
Yep. We'll be gone for a while.
Yeah. You just imagine if I was like, right, I'm going to go train for a marathon now. It just wouldn't happen. Yeah. But the gym, I need it for my sanity. And like of an evening, Jared knows I go Pilates these 3 days a week. So no, he has like appearances after. I'm like, so make sure you're back by this time.
Oh, that's great. So he comes home and then you go.
Yeah, I have to go my Pilates. I have to do it. He knows how much I love it.
Okay.
So I need to do that. Eating wise, I've always been bad at breakfast. Unless I'm going out for a nice, a bit of avocado on toast. And I've tried them, is it them acai bowls? Yeah. All them seeds, and I can't do it. I gag at them bowls. They just make me feel sick. I've always loved a good old lunch. Mm-hmm. I love a good lunch and I love a good dinner. I love my dinners. Like when me and Jared have been doing gusto recently.
Me too.
But I do have to add a few more potatoes.
Fine.
They're very tight on how many potatoes you get. I'm like, I need more chips than that, babe.
You know what you need to do is if you're ordering for 2 people, you just need to do the 4-person. Do 4-person gusto, trust me. And then if there's any left over, you put it in the fridge and then you have that for breakfast.
Yeah. Oh, God, no, not for breakfast.
I have it for breakfast, like a cold Thai curry.
No,
I don't
you
care.
don't.
Yeah.
You don't.
I do. Oh, I'm that busy. I'll be like, dinner for breakfast, let's go. And then I'll have like coffee and Red Bull. But my biological age is really bad. It's 77.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Do you drink alcohol?
Occasionally. Mm-hmm. I don't mind a little gin in a tin. Nice. I like anything in a tin because it's so much quicker.
Yep.
So like say when I'm with my friends, we'll have a few. I don't really drink in the week. Jared doesn't drink.
Great.
He just doesn't drink at all. Whereas if I go with my mum and dad, straight away like, babe, do you want a beer? Do you want a glass of wine? They're very social drinkers. Like my mum will come round on like a 2:00 and go, oh, you got any ciders? She'll just drink a little cider. But yeah, Jared's not really a drinker, so I don't know if that's maybe I just don't drink.
It'll have a huge impact on...
Yeah. But then on the weekend, say if you've got your mates round, like we'll have a little bottle of rosé or... Yeah, I love that. So I don't... When people say that, go to the doctors, how many units of alcohol do you drink? I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes binge, sometimes none.
Yeah. I love if you're actually honest. When you're young, that first time the question comes up and it's just like more than 14 and you're like, is 35 more than 14? Yes.
How many units? I don't know.
I think that if your biological age is high, then it sounds like you manage stress really well, but you do have anxiety. You've been through ups and downs with, like pregnancy stuff and relationship stuff.
I'm scared. Do you know it already?
I don't. But if it's low, what do you think that'll be down to? Maybe like the joy of the relationships in your family. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm on my feet quite a lot. Will that help? Mm-hmm. I am on my feet all day. I find it hard to not be on my feet. Now, obviously, I'm sitting here. But like if I'm just like sitting down and put something on the TV, I'm like, oh, I can't do this. I've got to get back up.
And what's your domestic setup? Are you the one folding laundry and cooking meals? Do you have housekeepers for that?
No, I would love one.
Yeah.
I'd love a housekeeper. Mm-hmm. I have Vicky who comes once a week and I love it when the smell of just her smells are just, if I could have her all the time, I genuinely would.
Sounds like you need a wife.
Do you know what? I should get another wife.
Yeah.
But no, I do all my laundry, cooking, cleaning and all that. No one can clean the way I can or Vicky, to be honest.
You're a good cleaner.
I do like to. Vicky, my cleaner, is 10 out of 10. I will never find anyone like her. No. And she's moving soon, which is going to break my heart into pieces. I feel like I'm going to have to hold auditions.
Jared moved away and he didn't like it and he asked you to marry him. Vicky's moving away and she's going to think, it's Danny's birthday. Slide into the DMs. This is the next phase of your relationship.
I love her. Like when you just find someone that you adore, like I trust her. Like do you have a cleaner?
I do.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel the same romantic passion.
Yeah, I absolutely adore her.
Yeah.
She makes me feel a way and Joe would never be able to.
But I'm on the same page as you as I don't think, as much as I would love a housekeeper, I think this is a really relatable conversation in the current economy, by the way. We're so down to earth with the humble man of the UK. Yeah. But it would be weird having someone in your house all the time. And I do get a certain mental relaxation from doing those domestic things myself. I do like to fold the laundry sometimes.
I like doing my own washing. Mm-hmm. I like to they have to be washed in a certain way. I'm a little bit particular on things like that, and like the kids' clothes, and I like coming home sometimes, you know, and just cleaning my kitchen is very therapeutic.
It is.
You know, having a bit of music on and
Boys to men.
like changing the beds.
No.
It's a bit of an ag doing it. But then once they're clean, oh my God, knowing they're having their like bath, the kids, and getting into fresh beds, there's no better feeling, is there?
But my Vicky changes the beds. I can't change the beds.
Oh no, Vicky changes my bed, but I do the kids.
Nice. Maybe I'll graduate. If I can take anything away from this chat today, if I want to be sweeter, more lovable, more Danny Dyer, I could start that by changing my own kids' beds. It's just there are 17 beds.
Yeah, no, don't bother.
Would you like us to reveal your biological age, Danny Dyer?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Let's invite our resident scientist, Dr. Nicola Conlon. We've gone through the highs and lows of life as Danny Dyer, and Nicola has been studying human longevity for over a decade, so she's the best person to interpret your results. Danny Dyer, are you ready for us to reveal the results of your glycan age biological age test?
Yes.
You are 29. You're famous. You've got trolls. You've got kids. I wasn't referring to the kids when I said trolls.
They can be.
You have a famous dad, a famous husband, some anxiety, but you're doing Pilates. Your biological age is 28.
Oh my God, on the cake. I love it. That's not bad.
No, that's good.
So I am me.
Yeah. And I think given everything you're juggling, like 3 kids, 2 really young kids and twins as well, I think this is a really, really strong result to be, you know, I mean, a year younger, but pretty much in line with what your chronological age is.
Wow.
And the other reason that this is really interesting for me is because this test during pregnancy, we see a change in biological age. So this test is measuring inflammation in the body. Okay. And usually what we see is that during pregnancy, the biological age actually goes a bit younger. So it seems to reverse inflammation in the body. And indeed, we definitely saw that with your test during pregnancy. But what we do see is that after pregnancy, it can actually jump up a little bit. So we see the body go a little bit more pro-inflammatory. And it's thought the sort of biological reason behind this is that having a little bit more inflammation in the mother's body, it almost gets passed to the child with breastfeeding. So that's kind of thought why this kind of happens. But you having twins as well, and quite recently, the fact that we're not seeing your biological age a little bit higher, which we would be not, you know, we might expect, shows that your body has actually bounced back very quickly and it's adapted. So I think that's a really strong result, actually.
I'm really happy with that because I was scared then. I was like, oh, good, what's it going to be?
So you do have a lot on your plate. And like Dr. Nicola was saying, we have seen with elite athletes and people who have manager profiles that their inflammation is quite high. So how old are the girls now?
So they are going to be 3 very soon in May. And my boy is 5. Very newly 5, so yeah.
So you've just bounced all the way lower than your chronological age. I just think that's the Pilates, maybe.
Must be the Pilates.
Yeah, and I think one thing that stood out to me was that kind of support network that you have around.
Yeah.
That came up time and time again with your mum, your family, your nan, like having that close network really nearby. Did you say they live like 7 minutes, just
Exactly
like literally
7.
down the road?
Yeah.
And I think you can't underestimate the power of that. And we do see that in certain cultures, like blue zones in the world where people live really healthy to, like over age 100, but really healthy. What we see is they have really low biological age, and we see this support network as really, really powerful, where different generations are always sort of chipping in, they're helping each other. Like you said, your nan, your nan's the last one to go to bed at a party. And, having that culture where everyone from the family kind of chips in and has that sense of community is really powerful and really strong. And you can see when you're speaking that sort of love and closeness really comes across. And I don't think we should underestimate the power of that.
Yeah.
Above all the other things that we talk about, like diet and exercise and things like that, just having that community feel, that closeness with your family and that strong tie and connection is really, really powerful.
Amazing. Makes me want to ring my mum.
Oh.
She has Spanish though in her. She's half Spanish, so maybe I've caught a little bit of that because my mum is like going to be 50 this year and she looks about 20. So maybe it's a bit from my mother.
Yeah.
I don't think it's from my father.
Well, he does have
He's always tired, that man.
very royal genes, though.
I am basically
Like you are a
royalty.
descendant of William the Conqueror, right? Is that something? Did that come up?
I didn't see any of that coming
Yeah,
up.
no.
But when you mention about your mum looking really young,
Yeah.
there have been studies that have been done that show people that generally look younger on the outside usually have a lower biological age. So that's an interesting thing as well.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that has made me happy.
Good.
Are you
I'm doing something
surprised?
right. Yeah, I am actually. I am. Because you know when you're like, am I okay?
Yeah.
But clearly all the running around is working.
Yeah, and also I think you do take time for yourself, which is
Yeah.
important. You have those boundaries where you are doing a little bit of something for yourself, and obviously the exercise, the Pilates, things like that is always
Yeah.
going to help. So the fact that you are finding time to go, no, actually this is
I
my
need
time,
it. Yeah.
and it's something that is also beneficial for biological age. I think that's really important too.
Oh, great. There we go. The Pilates is working.
That was Dani with an I, the girl, Dyer. And we love her so much. There's just nothing to scratch below the surface that would be negative about such a beautiful woman. And her biological age reflects that. So why don't you straighten yourself out? Be a nicer person. Be more humble, even though everyone you know is famous. And only have a cleaner one day a week. And then you too can be as healthy as that. If you're not able to do so, just listen to different episodes of What's My Age Again, and there might be some advice there for you. Please listen to all the episodes, download them wherever you get your podcasts, like and subscribe. Thanks again to F&F for sponsoring the show. Shop in-store or online today.